Hey everybody, Jimmy Beach here with Alien Skin Software. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to print photos from within Exposure. Printing your photos directly from Exposure saves you the extra step of having to send your images to an outside app in order to print them. Some of Exposure's helpful features, like integrated watermarks and the ability to print a grid of images as a contact sheet, make the process especially flexible. Here is a selection of finished images that I flagged specifically for printing. I've selected them all within the grid in order to send them to Exposure's print dialog. To access the print command, choose File, Print from Exposure's menu bar. Exposure begins preparing the images and then shows you a preview of your image or images as they will appear at your selected page size. You can resize the print dialog to make it larger in order to see the images more clearly. You can view the preview in several different ways. These include different viewing options like Fit, Fill, and One-to-One. Because One-to-One displays the image without scaling, it's a good way to check to see if your image looks good. You can use the minus and plus buttons to manually size the preview. To change your page size, click Page Setup. This opens the Page Setup dialog in your Windows or Mac operating system. You'll be able to set your printer and paper formatting options. Let's walk through the additional settings to the left of the image preview. If you're targeting a specific print size, you'll first select the units. You can choose inches for common paper types like 8x10, etc., millimeters for A-sized print paper, or points. The margins default to the printer's printable region, but you can adjust them to taste. For example, you might reduce them for borderless printing, or adjust them as needed if you're printing a grid of images. The grid adjustments enable you to print multiple images per page. This saves paper when printing small photos. It's also useful for contact sheets. Use the rows and columns sliders to set the number of images to print on each page. Then, fine-tune the image spacing in your grid with the grid spacing controls. The cell size sliders enable you to define the size of the image cells on your page. Use the height and width sliders to adjust the vertical and horizontal size of the printable cells. Your photos will expand to fill the cells. If you're creating prints of a specific size, keep in mind that increasing the grid rows, columns, or spacing will lower the range of the cell size sliders. I want to fit 2 5x7 images per page for my selected paper size of US letter. So I'll reset the margins. Keep 2 rows per grid, but only have 1 column per grid. I'll type in 5 for the cell size height and 7 for the cell size width. The DPI dropdown enables you to set the dot density of the print. More dots means more sharpness and detail. If you want to apply a watermark to your image or images, choose it here. Exposure displays a list of any watermarks that you've created. I'll choose the watermark I want to use, then apply it. If you want to create a new one, choose the Edit Watermark option. To learn more about creating watermarks, you can watch our Export Watermarks video. Exposure's output sharpening is where you adjust the amount of sharpening you wish to use, as well as the type of paper you're printing to. You can choose either a low, medium, or high amount of sharpening. We recommend choosing low because it provides a noticeable, but not dramatic sharpening, and is effective for most photos that are clearly focused. Because different types of paper cause different amounts of ink spread, Exposure gives you the option to adjust for several different types. Matte paper will have more ink spread than glossy, and luster is somewhere in the middle. Each media type selection sets the recommended radius amounts. You can also adjust the radius as necessary for other types of paper, or simply as an aesthetic judgment for your specific image, paper, and printer combination. Increase the radius value for more aggressive sharpening, or lower it for less. A small radius will sharpen only fine details like hair. A wide radius will sharpen larger details and can be used if your print is to be viewed at a distance. When you're ready to print your images, click Print. Your Windows or Mac operating system's print dialog will appear, enabling you to select your destination printer and adjust other printer settings. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more tutorial videos on using Exposure. If you haven't used Exposure before, visit our website for a free 30-day trial.